Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Medic Regional Blood Center. 45 minutes. That's all it usually takes for you or me to save one of our neighbors' lives. Nearly 3 dozen East Tennessee hospitals depend on Medic Regional Blood Center, and they depend on us, you and me. Make the resolution for 2020 to give blood to Medic Regional Blood Center. You don't know whose life you could save. Emergency situations, surgeries, platelets for cancer fighting. It's a great thing to do for your neighbors here in East Tennessee, Medic Regional Blood Center. All right, this is our final word.
90 minutes has led to this. It's time for the final word.
Always be closing. Always be closing.
Only on the Sports Source.
All right, and Jeremy Pruitt was closing the other night in the locker room. I wonder if he's happy that the VFL Film guys tweeted out his comment to the team that the next decade will be the decade of the Vols. It was interesting that he made that comment, and now everyone that's been passed around, Vol fans, of course, love it as much as the players love it. But let's take a look at Tennessee's past performance by decades. I started with the 20s when General Neyland arrived. I didn't go into the 1910s. But you got the winning record, and that includes, carrying over the January 1st. That's really done by the decade. It's not just by season. So, for example, the 2020s has begun with a win already, even though it was last season. But you see the record by decade. You see the winning percentage by decade to the right of that. And then just to give everybody a perspective of what we're talking about, I took that winning percentage and multiplied it by the current 12-game regular season. So you see there in the Neyland era, 20s, 30s, 40s, you're 9-3. Won the national championships in the 50s, and then Neyland stepped away, and you drop down to like a 8-4 typically, which doesn't sound that great. That's still one of the top 10 programs in the country to go 8-4 every year. It's just what the number is. 10-2 in the 90s was your average. Just an insane period of greatness. Then back to 8-4, and then you were 500 over the last decade, 6-6. All right, here's my question. Part of this will be on how you view Jeremy Pruitt and how you view the conference. This will be the decade. I would be surprised if Nick Saban is coaching into the 2030s. So this will be the year of change at Alabama, or the decade of change in Alabama. Where do you think Tennessee gets back to in this decade? Is it too much to say they get back to that 8-4 range on average? Do you go from 6-6 to 7-5? Which would be about 55, 60 winning percentage? Or do you get all the way back to 65%, get to the 8-4s? Or do you go better? I'd be surprised if anybody here says 9-3 again, but do you get to 8-4 over the next few years, 7-5? Or you think it's going to be another mediocre decade?
I think if you're less than 8-4, you've seen about at least two coaching changes over this next decade. I mean, if you're less than that, that means you're going to have a couple okay years, and then you're having a big fall off. So you're going to see the change. Hopefully, it's not that. So I think you have to be at 8-4 to have some consistency and growth and stability in the program to be able to do that. You'd like to see with 12 games on the schedule to get to that 9-win average, but like you said, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, you got to play every year. I don't give you that just yet.
Yeah, I'd probably be in the 8-4 range. Will's right. If it's below that, then you're talking about more change within the program, which could then drop it even, back to where you've been. So that's what you're trying to avoid. I still think patience is going to be required if that's there. I think Tennessee can be similar to like Auburn in the West. You have Alabama and LSU that kind of lead the way. You have Georgia and Florida in the East. Tennessee should at least hold on to that third spot.
Okay.
I'm at 8-4, sliding a little bit towards 7, but I would go 8-4. But here's the deal that occurred under Fulmer's watch. Look at the quarterbacks you had. You had Heath Schuler, who's a runner-up in the Heisman Trophy. You had Peyton Manning, who's a runner-up in the Heisman Trophy. And T. Martin won a national championship. Yeah. Until I see Tennessee get better at quarterback, I can't have them going better than 8-4. And I think they'll probably average out to 7.5 to 7.7 wins.
That's a great way of looking at it. You had three quarterbacks that basically that carried you through an incredible decade. That's a great way of looking at it.
Put me down for 8-4 also. I know people. If we had a fan base sitting up here, they'd say no, 8-4 is not good enough. But I think 8-4 is pretty realistic in just the world Tennessee lives in going into this decade, and that would be a pretty good mark.
Yeah, again, if you average 8-4 for a decade, you're going to be one of the top 15 schools in the country, and that's a huge jump from where you've been the past decade. So I think that is an attainable goal. I'm a little like you. I'm leery. I thought we turned a corner before covering this team, and they didn't. So I'm a little leery. But 8-4, I think if you're getting it back, that's where you're going. All right. Very much thanks to these guys. Thanks to you for watching. Get out and support our sponsors, who are the founders of the feast here. This year will be our 18th doing the Sports Source. That's all thanks to you and to our sponsors. So I thank you, and we'll see you right back here next week.